let's wait another minute. Thank you for joining us. Some of you that were able to watch town hall, some of the information will be repeated, but you know, different look because it's me talking to you. If students are on the line, hello as well. The chat is open for you to chat with me. So I've gone through the document that I sent out where I asked if you had any questions. And so I'm going to do my best to answer all of those questions here. But feel free to pose some follow-up questions or questions in the chat window. Again, it just goes to me, but I do have it up on my right so I can see. If you're out there though, will you just write something in the chat so I can kind of see who's in the room? That would be great because I feel like I'm by myself right now. Dan Durkin is in the background. Dan is basically the guy that makes everybody in the district look and sound good. He's our storyteller, right? Marketing, media, all that kind of stuff. So he is assisting. Thank you. Look at, here they come. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Now I feel like there are people in the space with me. Yay. Very good. Yes. And again, this will be recorded. So if you just want to sit back and relax, you can take notes if you want to, but it will be here and will be posted to our website. So you can always come back. And I think what I'm going to do, which was one of Ms. Kreider, my pit crew chief, her recommendations was to kind of do some regular updates, so state of the school addresses. And so what I'll do is probably like monthly, I'll put out to you like a questionnaire, or I'll let you know what dates are ahead of time. And then if there's, because as the pandemic changes, as the state changes, there might be questions that you have. And so we'll kind of just have like weekly updates or monthly updates, not weekly, monthly updates. Okay, yay, all these people. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. I don't see anyone texting me. Let's see, telling me they can't get in, so that's good. And okay, so we will go ahead and get started. It is very nice to see you. I am sitting in my office. I've spent the morning helping with desk arrangement. So Thomas is making sure our desks are over 6 feet apart in most cases. And then we're taping them. This very fancy tape is called gaffer's tape. Gaffer's tape is used in the theater world. It is wonderful. It's very hard to find. We had to order ours from Amazon, but it has nice bright colors and it's used to mark set on stage. So you can see it in the black light. So I'm a theater person, so we're using gaffer's tape. It also doesn't damage the floors. And it's really skinny, right? Painter's tape is really thick. This is really skinny, so it's just gonna look really nice when students go into the room. And all of our desks then are marked at the corner so that should we move them to sweep or, you know, all that kind of stuff, wash the floors, we can put them back and not have to measure them every single time. So new, it looks nice. Everything's in these perfectly straight lines. It's really kind of nice. Okay, so we are going to get going. So I am very excited to be here. I'm excited that I'm at my parent webinar because that means that we made it through our first 2 days of, you know, live instruction. So our first day of school twice is basically what it was. And one of the questions that was posed was, why come back when, you know, other schools are choosing to go virtual? So West Bloomfield High School is virtual. There are some other districts that are doing a hybrid or blended format, but why come back? And so the reason to come back really is kind of with this quote that's on the right. Relationships are just so important. And there's so much research right now that's talking about mental health for our nation right now, adults, students, and that isolation. And what can we do to have wraparound services for students? And one of the best things that we can do is get them back amongst their peers as long as the environment is safe. And so we came back, because we do our best teaching live. We'll have virtual, will be robust, but our teachers are best live. So we came back so that we can develop those relationships so that we can help students with whatever they're struggling with, because Miss Bellairs will be live and in person with students 2 days a week. So they will have access to her. We found that our access to students when we were all remote in the spring, it was harder to reach out to those students that were struggling, and it was harder for them to reach out to us because it just feels more formal, I think, when you're sending an email or, you know, shooting me a text, when you can just kind of, you know, knock on Miss Bellairs' door from the social distance circle that's at her door and say, hey, may I talk to you? We're going to be able to service a lot more kids, and a lot more kids are going to be comfortable with having those conversations because it just doesn't feel so formal. But the research is dead on. Pediatricians will talk all about this idea of getting students back if it's safe. And so I'm going to talk through some of those safety protocols. And I know I've probably sent you so many emails and talked to you about it already, but I want to make sure that you feel comfortable. And again, my son is here. We just spent yesterday afternoon at Mott Children's Hospital seeing his rheumatologist. He's on all kinds of medications, and his physicians are very excited about our plan. So for whatever that's worth, I built a school that your kid will be safe in, but so will mine, just so you know. One of the other questions I want to make sure I answer right from the beginning is, what are our class sizes? So you can write it down, but you don't have to. Our 9th graders have 9 students, which I think is fun because, you know, 9 and 9. And then we have 41 10th graders. That is a lot of 10th graders. Now, 7 of those are returning students. I think it's 7 are returning students, but we have 41 in the 10th grade class. We have 40 in the 11th grade class. So that 10th grade class is going to be a bigger class when we get to graduation, because we always add 11th graders the next year. We have 38 12th graders, and we have 42 13th graders, just in case you wanted to know. Usually our graduating class hovers like in low 40s, high 40s, kind of somewhere around there. This year we have 42. So yeah, we had a couple students choose Lakers Online, but not very many. And because I can creep Lakers Online, I've been following up just to make sure that I'm pleased with their schedules, because I'm hoping that they come back to a second semester. But we really have 170 students ready to go. I think we had 3 students absent over the last 2 days. So I had everybody return. So I had like 167 students, all spaced out at different times of the day. Like 13th graders came in the morning instead of when everybody else was here in the afternoon. But we'll never have more than 70 students on campus at one time. And we have everything socially distanced space-wise to accommodate that and to make sure it's safe. And I hope your students talked about, like, especially our cool hand washing machines. Like, I hope they came home and told you all about the protocols. I know that they probably appeared boring and like we didn't do anything these last 2 days, but we did a lot with protocols. We did a lot with connecting and team building from socially safe distances. So it wasn't into the academics yet, but a lot of, like, we watched a video on how to wash your hands, and I'll be sending all of that out. Next slide. Okay, so safety protocols, I kind of want to just go through them, and then this kind of goes into where some of the questions were. So feel free to put questions in if you feel like I asked you that question, you didn't answer it, but maybe it's coming up later in the presentation. But I did try to go through, and I even made like notes for myself to make sure I hit all the questions that you had in your form. So we are following all, you know, the personal protection equipment. So like I have, you know, a mask that I don't have to wear right now because I'm in my office by myself talking to you. I have a face shield when I'm cleaning desks. We have gloves. We have everything that we're supposed to use at the right time. So our teachers will be masked, and all of our students were masked, and I thanked them for protecting me just like I was wearing my mask to protect them. When we're cleaning, we have EPA approved cleaning equipment. And so those specs are, you know, CDC has approved them, but I've also sent them to the college because the college needs to know what's happening in their building. So everybody's good with their cleaning products. And it's important because we're constantly cleaning. So Thomas, who was gifted to me from the district, he is kind of like my sanitation engineer. So he will be cleaning high touch surfaces constantly. So he'll be like door handles, he'll be in bathrooms, like cleaning anything that somebody could touch. He'll be walking around the building, doorknobs, light switches we don't really need to do because you don't really shut the lights off in any of those spaces, but he'll be cleaning. And him, myself, and the teachers will be cleaning all of the desks that were in use before the next class comes in. So I will literally be wearing blue jeans, which is kind of exciting because I never had that opportunity before, pretty much every day with some sort of OEC shirt on. I'll always have a blazer on my back chair though when I need to be, you know, head of school, because that costume is important. But we'll be cleaning a lot. And that is something that we're doing to keep you and your students safe, but also to keep ourselves safe as well. The biggest thing though that is keeping people safe is hands. And so we're really talked about the last 2 days that if you could make sure that you're talking to your students about how important it is to make sure your hands are clean. So we have like hand sanitizing machines that are, when you walk in the room, get some hand sanitizer. Some students brought their own, like my son even has, when he's out and about, like he goes to a friend's house, he has like, we bought him from Sam's, like it looks like a wipe, but it's a sanitizing wipe that's in like its own package. So I'm like sending those with him when he goes places. But anything students can do to keep their hands clean is what's really going to keep everybody safe. So mask will keep you from particles going in and your particles going out, and then clean hands help prevent from, surface to surface contact. But we are cleaning surfaces after your student comes in contact with it, but still hand washing is important. So one of the things that I'm going to make your students do, and it'll probably be super irritating in the beginning and it'll become habit later, is they're actually going to be on a rotation for when they're going to come out, one small group at a time, because the class sizes are very small, to use the 4 hand washing stations that we have. So basically, students should be washing their hands at least every other class period, but sanitizing every class period. So that will be something that they'll get used to over next week. So we'll be practicing that next week. We did practice our one-way halls. They did watch their hand washing video. That was really hard to say. And then go out in the hall and they had someone watch them wash their hands and kind of give feedback. So we're very serious about those pieces. And these are some of the reasons, again, why we're able to come back, because large schools like West Bloomfield High School, they couldn't break their groups down to guarantee small enough class sizes, and they couldn't institute protocols like I'm able to institute because we're a small school. So a lot of your elementary schools and things like that are able to institute some of the same things I'm doing, but I think we might have gone, like some people say, overboard, but how can you be overboard when you're talking about COVID? So the one-way hallway systems, we're putting these down today or sometime next week, but we wanted to make sure our floors were spotless before we did it. But we'll have one-way hallway arrows, but students know which direction to go. But this will be a visual reminder. We have all of our signage, 6 feet apart, social distancing. I already talked about gaffer's tape. So we have like signage that they'll see going up. We already have some up already, but I want to see what my traffic flows are going to be so I can put my signage in places where I'm like, ooh, they need a constant reminder in that one spot. So when it comes to cleanliness, this building will never have been as clean as it's going to be this school year. When it comes to traffic patterns, that's how we're able to control people not like walking against each other. They're all walking the same direction. We will have seating charts and like forms and documents. So like if student comes to see Ms. Bellers in the office, she'll write down what time they were there, who was there. Seating charts in all the classrooms, which is new for OEC. We usually don't have seating charts, but we have to have seating charts for contact tracing. And so what happens is if someone gets sick and is testing positive for COVID, then I reach out to my district office and they reach out to our Oakland County nurse. So every school district has 1 or 2 nurses that are assigned to them. And then they talk through what the protocols are going to be for how we handle if someone is test positive. So that's what determines, the contact tracing is important, but that's what determines what has to happen as a school. So literally, it totally depends on what the circumstances are. For example, if a student were to come in to class and just come in and drop off a Chromebook, let's say, and then they left, that student testing positive is very different than if there's someone like sitting in a class. But the guidelines say that close contact has to be 15 minutes under 6 feet apart is basically how it is. And so that's where they look for, who's been sitting in a class, who was sitting around them, what's the seating arrangement, were they within close contact, all of those kinds of things. So that goes to an actual healthcare professional, and then they work with their Oakland County Health Department and then tell us what to do. So rest assured that we as a district are not making those decisions by ourselves in the sense that we know what's best. We're asking the experts, because that's what West Bloomfield has been doing the whole time, is looking and planning for months and months and months to be able to come back to school. This district has it together. I'm very grateful because I feel very safe as an employee because I know that they have been working tirelessly to connect with all the right people. Okay, so then let me make sure I asked that. We talked about hand washing stations. Okay, restrooms. So restrooms are a place that we don't want students to go unless they have to use the facilities. So, and I don't want a lot of students needing to use the facilities at the same time. So our students have been trained to always go to the restroom in between classes. Well, I'm gonna try to untrain them from that. I don't want anyone using the restroom in between classes if we can help it, because every hour, teachers will have a time slot where they'll release students out. If you need to use the restroom, you use the restroom. You can wash your hands, that type of stuff, so that I'm limiting the number of students that are approaching the restrooms at any one time or needing to use the facility. So there won't be too many people in the restrooms then. And then unless you have to use the facility, don't go in. If you want to wash your hands, use one of the hand washing stations or just, take a breath. So I am really working hard to untrain our students. They've been so good about always being in class. And so this will be something where they'll have a time slot and they'll go out. Let's see, Positas nurse, check, check, check. Check that one. Okay, the next screen is, this is our bell schedule. So I had a number of questions that were just kind of asking for more clarification. So it was like safety protocols, and please feel free to put something in the chat if I didn't cover what you were hoping for with the safety piece. And then there was like this, okay, really though, how is it all gonna work? Because students came back this week and they were in focus classes in the afternoon, you know, the hand washing video, which I'll send you the hand washing video, and I'll send you like the other videos they watched that are like our rah rah go team videos. So you can just kind of see what they saw. But how is it going to work for real? So starting Monday, we come back to school in the sense that classes are starting. And so this is our bell schedule. I don't know why the AM is so large. Do you guys see that on there? Whenever I have things on a big screen. Yeah, I don't know why I did that. There's nothing important about fourth hour where I'm screaming AM to you. But that's our bell schedule in our reduced sense. So if we ever do get to go to phase 5, the bell schedule will be back to normal, which is 8 to 3. So phase 3, if the governor puts us back in phase 3, where we are in the state physically, we would go totally virtual, and then I will send out to you what that schedule is going to look like. But right now we're in phase 4, and so we're coming back on a blended schedule. If we go back to phase 5, then in theory, the world is much safer and we can all come back to school together again. We'll do a self-assessment as far as safety if that happens, and then we'll decide what we're doing with our nurses, our health people, what we should really have phase 5 look like. But phase 4 bell schedule looks like this. So I'm pointing at the screen, I'm sure you can see it, but group A, they're going to come in person on Monday and Tuesday, and you can see that 1st through 4th hour, then we have a lunch period, and I'll talk about lunch, and then we have 5th and 6th hour. I was able to work magic with the master schedule this year. Most of my 12th graders are done before lunch, so I will need them to leave campus and not eat lunch with us, because I want to limit as many bodies on campus as I can at one time. So what that does is it reduces how many people I need to find spaces for at lunch, which is really handy. Our 13th graders, they don't come in until after lunch, but even more than that, they come in after I've started 6th period. So all my students will be in classes. The 13th graders will come in at the side entrance. They'll come into, I think it's Mr. Heffelbauer's room is the room they're gonna have to meet in. And so they'll just kind of come in, they'll go to that space, but they're coming in when nobody else is, we're not passing in the halls, and they leave after school is over. So the 13th graders really aren't going to come in contact with anyone except, their group, but they are coming in when the 12th graders are out. And that's, again, how I'm able to kind of balance how many people I have in the building at one time. Lunch, right now it's nice out. So every student made a magnet for me when they were in their classes on Tuesday and Thursday, their focus classes. So they did an activity around snap, crackle, and pop. You can ask your student whether they're a snap, a crackle, or a pop. But then they made these magnets. They put them on the board. They talked about, why they were which one, but I kept the magnets because this is how I'm doing my lunches. So when students come in on Monday, they will be assigned a location to eat lunch based on how many people I can fit in that space safely to eat lunch, because we're removing masks when we eat. That's the only time we remove masks. If students want to take their magnet and put it in the outdoor space, that is totally fine. That means they're eating outside. I don't have a problem with that, as long as I would appreciate if they've discussed it with you, right? Because, they should wear sunblock and all that kind of stuff, because I can't mandate that. But their magnet, they can use outside time at lunch. So this will be placed in a spot, and then eventually I might be able to create a system where, like they might be able to choose locations, once it's full, you can't go there, but I'm not there yet. So I'm going to control the spaces. So they can either eat inside or they can eat outside, but I will have spaced them for inside. Now, one of the things that was asked in the chat was, can students leave during their free hour? So for example, my son doesn't have I think he doesn't have a 4th hour this year. He didn't have a 4th hour last year, so let's go with 4th hour. So Will come into school, and then 4th hour, he doesn't have class. So he'll have a couple choices. One, maybe his grandma will come pick him up and take him to lunch. She loves Will, so that's possible every once in a while. 2, Will could sit outside if he wants to. Or 3, Will can sit in the seat that I've assigned him in the building. so that I know where he is and he's not like making one of my rooms larger, like I'll have a spot for him. Yes, so someone said, if they eat outside, should suggest a beach towel to help with social distancing. I think that's a great idea. When I saw students outside, they did a good job, but beach towels would be nice. So if your student wants to like roll it up and like stick it to their backpack, that would be awesome. Plus it's nicer to sit on a beach towel, right, than it is to just sit on the grass. But that would be great if they brought some beach towels. And then you're taking that home, so I don't have to worry about cleaning it. That was my other thing. I was like, oh, I have yoga mats, but then we have to clean them all. So beach towels would be great. So Will can leave during his free hour if he wants to. That was one of the questions, absolutely, and then come back. Will could sit in his assigned location, or Will could go outside. So maybe Will wants to take a walk on the trail because he likes to bike and stuff like that. He won't be biking on the trail, but maybe he wants to walk the trail. That's totally fine. He just needs to be back in the building for class when he's supposed to be there. So I hope that answers that question about leaving and coming back. Now, one of the things that I'm going to send emails out about is that, so Monday's group, Monday and Tuesday, those are the only, group A should only be on campus on those 2 days. So I don't want someone from Thursday and Friday's group to come into the building on those 2 days, even if it's to pick up a textbook, because we're trying to control so we know who everybody is in the space, where everybody is located in case we have to do contact tracing. So group A really should not be mixing with group B once we start Monday. This week I had some helpers that crossed both groups because I was able to deep clean, okay, not me physically, but Thomas was able to deep clean the buildings, the building in between group A and group B because we didn't have school live on Wednesday. So Wednesday is my deep clean day. So Monday and Tuesday, group A comes in, we're doing a ton of cleaning, but then we're gonna deep clean that building for Wednesday before Thursday, Friday group comes in, and then we deep clean again before Monday, Tuesday group comes in, if that makes any sense at all. So I don't want crossover between the two groups. So you just come to the building on the day you're assigned. Now, when it comes to what is group A doing then on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Wednesdays, it'll probably be a lot of programming from myself. We might do some mental health things, like Miss Bellairs might help me do some stuff. The coalition has done a lot of stuff with us, Greater West Bloomfield Coalition. Wednesdays are kind of gonna have that feel of mandatory attendance, but different. So we might put out a screener to students to check in on their mental health on that day. That might be how we take attendance for the day. I did a town hall this Wednesday. We might have a speaker come in and talk about a certain topic, and I'll, ask students what topics they're interested in. We might have a presentation from, like a creative activity, like this is how you, do this. So it's kind of like Wednesdays are going to be fun days for me because I'm going to get to help build programming for that. And so I'm hoping that your students are still understanding that Wednesday is a day of school, but they won't have to do like that hardcore academic stuff. Depending on how long the phase lasts, will group A switch to Thursday, Friday, group B on Monday, Tuesday? No, I'm not going to switch them because I know parents have made arrangements with work and things like that, and transportation to make sure they can get their kids to school. So Wednesday is kind of like a day that they're attending, but I also hope students are able to catch up on college stuff on Wednesdays or get ahead in college stuff on Wednesdays. I should never have a student tell me they don't have time to get their work done because we're giving them so much time that they can manage themselves to get stuff done because I'm not requiring them to sit in a seat, this A group, on Thursday, Friday. So B group then is the reverse. So B group, the teachers have taught the A lesson. On Wednesday, they're gonna plan their virtual lesson. They will launch the virtual lesson to the A group on Thursday morning. They might launch it ahead of time, but they'll launch it. It'll be due Friday evening, okay? We're trying to give you your weekends back. If there's something where a student, you only have one computer in the house and we need to worry about extending, we can talk through that, but we're trying to give you your weekends. So, and time for students to study for college classes on the weekends. So then what happens with the B group is the Thursday, Friday group will have the same lesson that they did on Monday, Tuesday. They'll have the same virtual lesson that A group was launched on Thursday, but their virtual lesson will be launched on Monday morning because that's their virtual time, if that makes sense. And so it will be due Tuesday evening, again, giving Wednesday back as time to make sure they're meeting with me or doing whatever I'm asking them to do, whether it's watch a video and respond to, questions, whatever it is. But they're doing my stuff on Wednesdays, like Office Miss Bellairs, my stuff on Wednesdays, and they're doing teacher virtual lessons on Thursday, Friday, or teacher virtual lessons on Monday, Tuesday. The teachers have been learning a new management system called Canvas. So let me go to the next slide because it'll probably help with a little bit of that. So Canvas is similar to Google Classroom, but it's more robust. There are more bells and whistles. Our teachers are learning it, so you might see them get fancier as they go through. The way they can do screencastify through Canvas, like there's just lots of really cool things that they can do that Google Classroom just wasn't built to support. They weren't ready for a pandemic, who would be? And so we've switched to Canvas. There's lots of how-to on Canvas. The district has done on their website. They have like a parent webinar that I watched. So there are lots of videos that you can look at. We showed a video to students, and I'll send that out again with my list of things this weekend, that this is what we did during orientation, so that they at least saw what Canvas looks like, but we will be coaching them through. So I would expect our teachers, you know, to help the students log in the first time, maybe during their live day, so that when they go home, they feel comfortable. But we're actually not gonna launch Canvas lessons until not next week, but the week after, because we're trying to like decrease anxiety and give people room to breathe, because next week is the first time students are coming in live and doing, like, you know, their 6 hours of high school classes, college for everyone except for the CNS 1100 new 10th graders. Everybody else starts their college classes next week. Freshmen, you gotta wait a semester. So we're trying to give people time to acclimate to this new world. And then the following week, so the week after Labor Day, we've already practiced being in person. Now we're gonna add on the Canvas piece. So we're trying to just kind of gently roll ourselves in so that we have low anxiety, or at least lesser anxiety, and then higher success. So one of the questions was Chromebooks, do they need to bring them to school? We do not have a set of Chromebooks. The district keeps saying, keep your Chromebook at home because we have Chromebooks at all the schools. We don't have a set of Chromebooks here. I think they're waiting to see if they have any extras, but we don't have a set of Chromebooks here. So if teachers are expecting you to log in, which they probably will, you'll need to bring your Chromebook. So you should plan on bringing your Chromebook or your own personal device if you want to. You don't have to use the district's Chromebook. You just have to have a Chromebook at home from the district in case they update and launch a program that you need to access for schoolwork. It will be on your Chromebook. So that's where they're putting all their special programming. So you're welcome to use your own device, but you definitely have to have a district Chromebook. I think it's nice to have 2 screens. So I've been telling students, be grateful that you have your own device if you have one, but that Chromebook, you can have that open looking at your research while you're typing your paper right on your own device, but you can have the other Chromebook open for research. So you do need a district Chromebook. They'll keep putting out times and how to get them. I will help you with that if you are struggling to get to those times. And yes, you should plan on bringing your device. Doesn't have to be the district Chromebook, but your device to school. Looking, text messages. Nope, we're going good. Okay. Okay, so yes, please remind them how to join Slack. I will do that. I will tell them that about Slack to the best of my ability, and I'll make sure we send out an email. Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, if they have their own device, how often should they log into their Chromebook? That is a really good question. I don't know the answer to that. I will write it down. I suspect what they'll need to do is log in only when the district is requiring them to do something that they put on the Chromebook. Other than that, it can kind of just sit. But I'll ask that question. So how often do they need to log in? Okay, I'll ask that. And if it's something different than what I just said, I'll make sure I shoot that out. But that was a really careful sentence right there. Yeah, I will make sure that I give you that information if it's different from just log in when you need whatever the district put on the Chromebook. So lunch protocols we talked about. One of the questions was, what about gaps in learning, right? Everybody went into the pandemic. School was going on, so like we were pretty robust actually in our academics compared to a lot of districts. Like we launched, like literally our students had no break. We went into basically shutdown mode, and then we gave them 1 day off and we were up and rolling the next week. Some districts were not up and rolling for like 3 or 4 weeks, and then it was kind of like optional stuff. Our students were required to do a lot of work. And so because we wanted to keep the learning going, they still didn't get as much as they would have, you know, had we been in school. So we recognize there's going to be gaps in learning. And so our teachers are very aware of that. And so what we'll do is if something pops up, we'll help with that. But like our math teacher knows, you know, like that algebra 1, they didn't get through all of it. So they'll be doing some review and teaching if they need to of concepts that are going to support what they should have gotten out of algebra 1 that they need in geometry, for example. So we'll make sure that we're addressing that. If you feel like we've missed something and there's a gap that your student has that we missed, like as we're going through and you're like, they don't know how to do that, then just reach out to us and we'll make sure that we address that gap. but we know, and everywhere in the state is the same thing, there's going to be gaps in learning. Pictures and IDs. So this is a tricky one. Yes, in normal world, students would have an OCC ID and an OEC ID. Now, OCC, we'll talk about it in focus, but they can upload a picture and get their ID. It's very easy. We usually have, right, the picture people come up just like back in the day when we were in school. So that thing goes up behind you, right, that they pull it up and then you sit or stand on a little X on the stool and then, you know, head tilted a little way and they take your picture with the big light shining on your face. That is, we're trying to do that. I'm not sure how we're going to do that though. So we've measured out our front foyer and we're trying to figure out if we can put at least one photographer in that front foyer because there's really no furniture there now. And then, but I think the photographer's going to have to come back on multiple days. So I would let like one little focus class of like 10 students go out at a time and stay social distance. And then they would get their pictures taken. So theoretically, yes, we'll get them an ID. I just don't know how long it's going to take for us to make that process happen because we want to be really careful. So if we feel like we can't make it happen, we might do school pictures in the spring. Yeah, then I'll have to figure out how to do the ID. Do the 13th graders need a district Chromebook? Yes, they do. Could they take the picture? We asked about the pictures outside. It's funny because Denise is asking the question and my Denise asked the same question. The photographer said they cannot take the pictures outside, which is disappointing. We had the same thought. Okay, so it looks like I'm trying to catch all the ones in the chat so far. I'm going to write down Slack so I don't forget to talk about PTSA. They will be having conversation with you at our curriculum night for sure, which will be in September. It's on the calendar. Maybe it's not on the calendar. I'll be sending you a link because I have to schedule the webinar time slots. That's what's so tricky about this virtual piece. I don't have my own webinar access. I have to like arrange it. We have 2 in the district, and so I kind of have to like sign up for my time slot. But we'll have a curriculum night, and PTSA will have part of that time to talk to you all about, I just call it PTSA. You should be scolding me in the chat, Miss Stephanie. Our PIT, our parent involvement team, will talk to you about all the great planning that they have ready and to go. I'm excited. There's like some really cool stuff we're going to be doing. So that kind of covers the OEC side, okay? We talked about 2-day lessons, Canvas instead of Google. That's that side. Someone had asked questions, a couple of you had asked questions about the college side. Are there any more questions about the learning for us for OEC before I talk about the college? And I'll just kind of watch the chat for a second. Okay, it's totally fine if it comes up, I'll still answer it. Okay, so the college. Okay, yeah. How can we support the teachers? Lots of love would be very helpful. And then the parent involvement team has a link on their website of like what we're asking for. Our teachers are just so trying to get themselves back in gear. They don't even know what they need yet, but I'll be letting you know what they need so that you can help support them. But lots of kind words right now would be very supportive because they're a little bit overwhelmed and stressed out with so many changes and then wiping desks. Like there's just a lot going on for them. So, and I don't know if you saw our welcome video, like they're all teaching 4 different things. There's a lot. So it's a small school, but a lot to do. So the college piece, 10th graders that are returning to school. So we're 9th graders with me last year, that tiny little group of returning 10th graders through 13th graders should be starting college classes next week, or you did like some classes are delayed a week, whatever the college did. But those are all going to be online or remote. So the OCC decided, even, you know, like way back when, and they haven't changed their mind, that they were just going to train their staff on how to do things virtually, and they were going to do that for fall semester. So everybody was kind of doing the same thing. So online and remote are a little bit different. So you want to have your student look at what they signed up for and be very careful, because if you're in a remote class, you might have to log in live with that teacher at the time the class is running. You won't have to go to the campus. Like my son signed up for an Auburn Hills class, but he doesn't have to go to Auburn Hills, but he's in a remote class. So he's going to have to be available to log in at that time. Online classes are kind of taught like if you were to take a Michigan virtual class, it's kind of like there will be due dates and things like that, but you're not having to log in with the teacher at a specific time. It's like work at your own pace. Here are the due dates. We'll chat through, you know, virtual means, but it's not like I'm in class with my other classmates at the same time, which would happen in remote. And one of our parents asked, like, why we weren't doing that for our school. So like making the students Zoom from home into the class, like if you're home on Thursday, Friday, make you Zoom in. There's a couple reasons. One, the logistics of making that happen is really tricky because I want my teachers to feel like they have access to move about the room. And if they had to stand in front of a camera, it kind of restricts their space. There's some issues with, when we've talked about it as a district, with like liability as far as like, now I'm taping students that are in class or teaching that, like there's just all these like FERPA, like there's all this liability stuff. But the third reason is because we want to make sure that our teachers can kind of focus just on that teaching moment and that being with just those students. And some of my families don't have multiple devices at home. So I'm trying to be kind and not make you log in at a certain time every day, all these different times a day, when someone else might need their device for their schooling too. So I'm trying to give some flexibility on those off days. The only exception to that is that we have decided that our new students, which we have 58 brand new students, we are going to assign you a mentor. They know this, and they will be expected to log in with their mentor. The mentors will be here at school while they're meeting with their virtual, their student, but so that I feel like that's just safer. But I am going to expect our students to log in with their mentor because we're going to do some really cool programming for our new students to make sure they're feeling comfortable, especially if we're getting ready to come back in phase 5 so they know what all the nuances are of OEC. So that's the only time, but it'll be a short amount of time, like once a week. Counseling. Okay, so there were some questions about college counseling. What happens when you're registering for college classes? So if you're a new 10th grader, you're taking CNS 1100 this year in the fall, and we will register you for that. So I set out those dates. I can't get at my calendar while I'm in this mode, but I'll send them out again. That will be a virtual class. You will be expected to log in at a certain time. So it'll be a remote class. It's like 4 o'clock. We leave school at 2. The login time will be 4. It's like on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but it's only for a couple weeks. And that will be your first college class. It's taught by amazing college counseling team. They're the professors that teach it. They're awesome. So, but what will happen then is everybody, like in October, will start looking at what they're going to take in the winter term. So the protocol is that you meet with Miss Bellairs, and that might be virtual. That might be, 8 feet apart, like meeting with her. And then she puts together the document that's similar to the one that I sent home to you this summer that talks about, here's your schedule, here's are some things that we're telling the college counselors, and then here's the number of credits that you're allowed at the college. Then that student is required to meet with a college counselor. They'll do that virtually. They'll schedule an appointment. The college counselor will call them. They'll either FaceTime, Zoom, or talk on the phone. And then the college counselor will make recommendations on what the student takes at the college. But because it's a college counselor, parents are not invited into that conversation unless it gets cleared by the student and the counselor. So the counselors at the college FERPA is a big deal. So you will have students have signed a FERPA waiver, but they are going to protect that space with students. So if a parent wants to be part of that conversation as the college counselor is meeting, that has to be arranged in the sense that everybody needs to know you're there and there's probably some documentation. So I'll have a clear conversation with that because we've not done that virtually. Some of you probably, have met with the college counselors, and students usually do that on their own. Now, as far as a heads up was the question that I had in my questionnaire, your student should be the one to give you the heads up because they're the one scheduling the appointment. So, but around October is when all of that starts. We have started issuing college textbooks to students. So that was part of what we did on our 2 days that we were back. Those textbooks, if we have them a physical copy, students checked them out. There was a whole process. If there's online copies, we told them how to order those. So your students that are the returning 10th graders up through 13th grade, they really should have their books. They cannot come in on, like, if you're a B student, you can't come in on Monday and Tuesday to get your book. You'll have to wait till Thursday or Friday because that's the day you're assigned to come in. That's why we did all of our book stuff on Thursday. If you have questions on books, you can email Mr. Heffelbauer and he will help you, especially if you're trying to figure out how to order it. We pay for your books, so do not go online unless you want to keep the book. You're welcome to go online and order it and then bring in a receipt to me. I can't honor a receipt that you have because you're not one of my vendors. So don't purchase your own textbooks. We pay for those through the college bookstore. Credit ranges are individual, so those are determined by Ms. Bellairs and sometimes in conversation with me. So everybody has a different credit range. There's a whole bunch of factors, how many high school classes you're taking, anxiety, comfort level, grade point average, all those kinds of things. Anything in the chat about that? Okay, Let me just check all this stuff off my list really quickly. Done. Oh, okay. So if you are traveling out of the country, please let me know, because everything changes by the minute. So the county has protocols in place as far as like how long you have to quarantine when you come back, those types of things. So if you're planning a vacation, whether it's out of the state or out of the country, please let me know so I can tell you if there's going to be any issues when you come back. If you have to quarantine, obviously we'll work with you. And the college is remote, so that part's not going to be a problem, but we'll work with you. But just let me know if you're going, especially out of the country, so that I can help you understand what that looks like. Okay, here's a beautiful map of our beautiful campus. And I'm not sure if you can see it, but there's like this red line. Here's the red line. This is our boundary line. And we put this up for students yesterday and on Tuesday. So the campus is really closed, okay? The buildings, like they're not holding, like, you know, like there are very few people in like public safety is over here. Everybody's working remotely. So we're really not supposed to be on campus except for the fact that they allowed us, thank goodness, to use the H building. So I usually have teachers teaching in buildings over here, and then some in H. We have everybody in H with reduced class sizes to make it safe, and air purifiers and fans blowing and all kinds of stuff, but we're all in H. So this is our boundary line. The college has given me permission to let students be outdoors. Thank you very much, OCC. But they have to stay over here to the left side of the map on the H side of the red line. They cannot walk around on campus here, sit and have lunch. They can't come over here on campus. Public safety will get very irritated with me because they shouldn't have to be monitoring this space as closely because there's nobody here. So they can walk the trail that they walked as long as you're okay with it. Talk to your student about that. I don't want students leaving at lunch because there's really not enough time to come back. It's only a 30-minute lunch. Everybody needs to bring a lunch. The district is not able to provide us lunch service because we're a program and not one of their physical buildings. We're an off-site program. They legally don't have to. They were kind last year and did that, but they can't do it this year because it's just logistically they can't, and there isn't a mechanism now to be able to like heat up food because you can't have like a common microwave. So you have to bring a cold lunch. I don't have a refrigerator for students to put their stuff in. However, free and reduced families, they are waiving the fee for reduced families. Free and reduced families, and I'm going to be sending it out this weekend. I just thought I'd talk about it before I send it out. They have a curbside pickup. So you can come pick up like your 5 lunches, let's say, or 5 meals. And then if that's what you choose to bring to school, that's fine. Just remember, if it's something that needs to be heated up, you can't heat it up. So maybe swap that out for something else in your house to bring that's a cold lunch. But I don't want delivery people coming because I can't let them in the building, and I don't want students going out and having contact with someone and then coming back in. So it's bring a lunch. It's only 2 days a week. So go out to lunch on the other days of the week if that's what they want to do, but bring a lunch on those 2 days of the week. Cold lunch with an ice pack in it, something they carry around. We can't store it in the refrigerator like we're used to doing. But they have to stay to the left side, okay, of this line. If I weren't so directionally challenged, I would tell you, I think it's west, to the west side of campus, okay? Big deal. I will be very frustrated if I find students on this side of the line. There's like a little table over here. There's lawn space. I let them go like around the building this way to get to the bridge to kind of go to the trail. That's totally fine. I really don't want students eating in their cars. That's weird to me and creepy. I don't know, something about cars. But they can be outside or in the building at lunch. Okay, very good. Next slide. So lunch, talked about that. Okay. So closing thoughts, a couple other things, and thank you for staying so long on the line with me. I appreciate it. Field trips. Once we hit phase 5, we're going to try to put our field trips back into place. We can't do it in phase 4. So it's the first time in my history we haven't gone to Irwin's Apple Orchard, and I'm very sad, but we are going to try to put those field trips back in. Talked about pictures and IDs. We have a whole series of other meetings coming up. So if you're a new family, Ms. Bellairs will be on the call with me when we do our new parent orientation next week, and I'll send that reminder link out again. We will have a 13th grade parent night when we get into school a little bit, Miss Madalena kind of wants to meet with students and talk through things, and then we'll repeat that information for you so that you and your student can have a conversation. But we're going to launch it to students first. So that will be around, like second, third week in September when we do our curriculum night, whatever webinar date I can get. And so we will have a curriculum night, which will be my next state of the schools address to you. And then I'll have the teachers here. So you'll get to meet every one of the teachers, which will be exciting. So they'll be on the call with us for curriculum night as well. But again, watch that video. Yes. And then I will send you links to the videos we did at orientation. Are there any other questions for me? Is the building peanut free or nut free? So we will have spaces for students that need that space. Most of our students are trained to just not bring nuts in. So I will shoot that out as a reminder to families that we need peanut free and nut free. I don't even know why I need to say space. It's going to be clean, but I'll shoot out. So no, be kind, no nuts. Okay, I will shoot that out. What I can't always guarantee, but we work really, really hard, is that I'll always have a gluten-free snack for students that are gluten allergic. So we try really hard, like the Rice Krispies, I think was okay. But if there's a special snack that you want it to have in the office so that when we do something and you're like, here's, Will's snack, then we can store things like that in the office and have that ready. But we try to accommodate everything, but we're not always perfect at that part. So the gluten part is a little bit trickier. Any other questions for me? So no nuts, got it. The question about the Chromebooks, how often do they need to log in? I'm gonna send videos. Oh, I know, the Slack, got it. So we, our wonderful parent involvement team crew, my PIT crew, are planning some great things for you. And one of our fathers is really big into a program called Slack. Has anyone else used it? Okay, you're gonna get really familiar with it. It's really, so I've got it's really cool because I'm gonna totally screw this up, so I apologize, but this is my understanding. You have channels. So let's say that you're really interested in helping gather items that the teachers need. There'll be almost like this running thread, and anytime anyone adds themselves into the discussion, it's kind of like this ongoing discussion, you'll get a notification on your phone, hey, someone just commented about snacks. Instead of all these emails going back and forth and trying to keep track of what happened in email, there's a running record of all the conversation instead of email back and forth. It's like email quickly. And so you can sign up for any of those channels that you want so that you're notified, but it's kind of like we're going to do everything through that as our virtual means to communicate instead of having a meeting like this and then you taking notes and then emails going back and forth. It'll be much more efficient, and then you're able to log in at your own time. So I'll make sure that my expert does a better job of explaining that, but you'll get more information about that and you'll get an invite. And I keep sending things out when they tell me to send them out. And then that way, once you're in Slack, you don't have to wait for me to send something out about our parent involvement team, which you are automatically on. By the way, you're part of my parent involvement team. And so the crew will send stuff out to you, and that way they can usurp me. Yay, great explanation. Excellent. Yeah, trying really hard. I'm not an expert at it yet, but it is really cool. I'm intrigued by it, and it's one of those things that's it's free. So oh my gosh, it's amazing. Any other questions for me? Okay. So our tagline for this year is that OEC is more than a school, it's an experience. And that is really why we are dedicated to coming back in person for as long as we can. I'm so hoping we don't go to phase 3, because we believe the school experience is more than just the academics that are taught. It's all the relationships, it's all the mental growth, it's all you see your student changing over time into this amazing adult that we're helping support you in doing. School is an experience. And so you've sent your students to the OEC experience, and we are committed to providing a safe space for that experience to occur. You'll hear them talking about, we have a whole back to school Olympics planned, all safe, again, socially distanced, but we are really committed to providing the experience of OEC, even in the midst of a pandemic, to the best of our abilities. Will Slack have a separate parent group for OEC? Yes, yep. Slack will have our own, I don't know what the word is, channel is not the right word, maybe it is, I like the word channel, but yes, we will have our own parent involvement team OEC Slack part. Other questions for me? All right, Thank you so much. If you weren't able to join, that's totally fine, but thank you so much for watching. Please don't hesitate to shoot me questions. I'm a little behind in emails right now, so I apologize. Like, I think I have one from Haley. I'm so sorry if you're sitting there that you sent, and it seems so easy to answer. And then I went away from my computer, and I think like 100 more came in. So I'm trying to unbury my emails, and then I'm going to send out this other stuff that I promised you, the videos and things like that. But that's it. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. I'm going to put lunch teams together. I've got a whole bunch of stuff to do. Is there a form for a Chromebook? There's only a form if you are doing the deposit piece, but you just show up and pick up the Chromebook. You don't have to fill anything out ahead of time. Yeah, thank you. You are welcome. Thank you for being amazing, especially you new parents that kind of bought the school sight unseen. You met me, but your students literally walked into the space for the first time and were like, this is my school. I have never seen it before. So there were some videos I sent you, but it's not the same thing as coming back and seeing it in person. So I'm excited for the year. Yeah, it's a great place to be. And with that, I will sign off. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day. Thank you. You enjoy your day as well.